Hey everyone, we're back again with in the Sorcerer's Quest, and we have Nathan. It was,
Yep.
and we're gonna be talking about. He didn't win the tournament, but he was the one. He was the brainchild behind this deck, and I'm interested to do a deck tech on Sorcerer. It's been a second,
Sure.
and I am. I think this is a very interesting deck, a very different turn on the classic spirits deck we're kind of seeing now.
Right.
Um, I know your brother is Noah, right? So
Yeah.
he's the one
Yes.
that pilots the kind of the main spirits deck right now.
Right. With like the more control, like higher
Mm-hmm.
end, top end one. Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
with
Which
Death
he happened to
Speaker,
come into
right?
second. Yes. Exactly. With Death Speaker. And in the event that this deck won, piloted by my friend Terry,
Mm-hmm.
my brother Noah piloting the same spirit deck, got second. So
Gotcha. Which
yeah,
I
very
think it
very
came down
cool.
to a lucky chaos twister, right, or
It
something like that.
really did. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, hey, that's why it's
Hey.
in the deck. It's good. That being said, I literally round one, I literally chaos twisted myself for the game, like for the
Ooh.
loss. That
Uh,
felt really bad.
but
So,
yeah, let's jump over to the
of
deck real
course, yeah.
quick. Yeah, so has before we go any further, has there been changes that you've made to this deck since that tournament that you're willing to
Um.
say? That
Oh
I
no,
guess
no
that
problem. Yeah, yeah. Uh, Only slightly. To be completely honest, I've been very busy personal life since that event, so I've
fair
only
enough.
been able to play this last week and a half. The one thing I definitely have changed, and like straight away, was the Pillar of Xyros that's in here. Um,
Okay.
it's kind of a non-bow, and I've drawn it multiple times where I need that to be my fifth, sixth site so that I can
Mm-hmm.
resurrect, my Nimbus Djinn from the graveyard with Ghost Ship, XYZ, do the shenanigans, and then it kind of shoots myself in the foot. So I was playing that to counteract basically my brother's spirits deck and any other Death Speaker,
Right.
but I don't think it's worth it. So that would be like the number one main thing.
Gotcha.
And then also, I mean, we can go through this while we're going through the cards, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe I would cut down slightly on the number of blinks. I was playing, we were on max copies of that because of the heavy Earth deck presence we knew was going to be at the event since uh, I think 8 or 9 people from our locals were in the event, and many were playing the Avatar Birth, which is full of
Gotcha.
grapple shot, punch butcher. So the blinks were crucial to get out of the way. Oh,
Gotcha.
seems we're only on 3, so I think I would keep that.
Okay. Yeah, so let's just jump in with obviously the Avatar first is the
Sure.
Sorcerer. It's gotta love that card draw of the
That
two draws is so good.
this is by far my favorite Avatar currently.
Heck yeah,
Um,
dude.
Drawing two is insane, especially if you have a low curve deck, which previously Fury Road, capped out
Hmm.
at like 4 or 5. Um, with this deck, drawing two is also especially good with the Nimbus Djinn. If
Right.
This is a bit of a combo deck in a way.
Hmm.
The main goal is to build a big hand, establish a Nimbus Djinn in a quote unquote safe position, and then blink him, uh, um, either blink or use the updraft ridge to get him into position, and then just dump your hand onto your opponent's head as quickly as possible. So that's the main goal of the deck.
Gotcha.
So that being said, drawing two with sorcerer, that could be 6 damage going even from
Right.
an empty hand. Yeah,
And dude, a lot of minions don't really get to that six power. So like, being able to just drop two cards to be able to do that is, I
board
would say,
control as well
yeah,
is
it's really
yeah,
good.
I agree.
So you got six auras total in the deck. You have two Evil Presence, three Thunderstorm, and one Atlantean Fate. Let's just kind of go down the list,
Sure.
and I might have some questions. But Evil Presence, you got some. Obviously, this is kind of a Spirits Sorcerer deck, so makes sense
Right.
this is in it. But why only two copies instead of trying to go to that three?
Mainly just because of its own recursion mechanic, because you get it back into your hand. You don't necessarily need to see more than one since you can establish it early in the
Mm-hmm.
game and let it sit there. Unless your opponent's on a dispel or disenchant, they're likely not going to be able to affect it. So Hitting 3 would be nice, but just to get to the other numbers on the cards, I think 2 is just fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially considering like if you do play a Nimbus Djinn, it will return into your hand, which then
Mm-hmm.
you could pitch the Evil Presence. So
Oh yeah, I didn't even
also
think of that.
giving the
That's
Nimbus
that's
Djinn
great. That's a
haste.
good
So
idea.
that right. So the Evil Presence is a crucial card. So going to 3 is not would not be absurd, especially since you're running the Headless Haunts as well.
Mm-hmm.
Just to get to that 40 card limit, this was one of the cards that we thought 2 is okay.
Gotcha. So another question, one that's not on this list. Did you ever think about summoning sphere for like since you have Gyre hippogriffs to be able to summoning sphere charge into with like any of your other things that kind of aren't the spirits?
Yes, Summoning Sphere was on the list. It plays a very similar role, but it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't give charge.
Right.
And so, and as far as the Hippogriff is concerned, with the Updraft Ridge, you can kind of give it that
Pseudo
extra
that.
boost
Yeah.
in movement. So you can kind of get it anywhere on the board, depending on where you play your sites. And a lot of the times, we're just trying to trade our Hippogriffs for their early threats so that I can establish a basically a Nimbus Djinn. I'm going to be saying that a lot. So,
Fair enough.
but yeah, so the Hippogriffs sometimes are just a 4 cost uh, Thunderbolt in a way.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thunderstorm. Trying to get that early 9 damage in is probably crucial to
Yes,
this, right?
especially when you're playing the towers, the ordinary air sites.
Mm-hmm.
Getting this off on turn, 2 or 3, if you have a core or something, is can be devastating for your opponent because it'll eat almost any of their initial minions they're playing down on those early turns, as well as, and if they're not playing minions, they're just taking, almost a half of their life total, which makes your math for your Jin that much easier. That's 3
Yeah.
cards you don't have to discard. So yeah, Thunderstorm is a very important card.
Gotcha. And then Atlantean Fate. Dude, I'm so glad this is a unique. If it had been
Oh
anything
my
else, it would have
goodness.
been so crazy.
This is one of the most powerful cards in the entire game, in my opinion.
I
Just being
agree.
able to shut down Threshold can absolutely devastate certain decks.
Hmm.
So, and being able to drown opposing minions with it, I mean, it's basically a water earthquake, essentially, right?
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
it can drown all of their cores or sites as long as they're not an ordinary site.
Right.
So massive. The
It's
threshold is the biggest part, though. Shutting
right.
off the threshold.
True. So and then you go to artifacts. We have 5 artifacts here. We have
Right.
Amethyst Core, Aquamarine Core, Kythera Mechanism, Philosopher's Stone, and Ruby Core. So you got a
We're missing
lot of
one.
expensive cards in here.
Yeah,
Um,
unfortunately.
yeah. So question? Why the Ruby Core? That was one that when you sent me the list, I was kind of confused since you're
This
not running
one,
any fire things at all. Why the Ruby?
it kind of goes back to what I was saying about the sorcerer. How I want to play a really low mana curve.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for that is because I don't want to be drawing sights on any of my turns.
Gotcha.
So the core, this could be, and in testing, it was an Aether Air or a Mix Air. That way
Okay.
I could
Right. Yeah.
cheat out some of the bigger minions, such as a vampire or a Jinn early.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think this could be a card that could be cut, but just having an extra core for additional ramp saves me from drawing a sight. I think that's about good enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that would be definitely the weakest of the artifacts for sure.
Gotcha. And then obviously Philosopher's Stone is amazing. Yeah,
Right.
I think it's one of those cards that like I think a lot of people are kind of tempted to reduce the amount of cores in their deck because if they do draw them late, it's kind of it feels bad. But I guess
It
in this
does.
deck with the Jin, it
Three
doesn't really
damage.
matter, right? Yeah,
Yeah, it's
it
still
doesn't
3 damage.
matter, which is kind of cool. So, but with the Philosopher's Stone, when you see it, and you're like, I'm not disappointed.
Upset. Yeah,
Yeah,
so I feel like that's one that you can play any point in the game and it's gonna be beneficial and you're gonna be happy to see it. As long as you're not top decking it for your like only card of the your turn, then
hmm
then you'll be all right. And that's why I play
yeah,
sorcerer. I get 2 top decks. Yeah.
right. And then probably the craziest
Cons-
card, especially as like the game progresses, I can just see this becoming a problem. Is
Sure, it's
Kythera
such a
mechanism?
blanket. Yes,
Yeah, with the
uh,
random, it's so crazy.
it's cracked in half. It's super nice. The one thing that you do need to be aware of, I'm not sure if everybody knows, it will be the last player that plays their Kythera mechanism
Hmm.
will be able to control all mechanisms. They don't like counter out or
Right.
anything. So in some games, um, in some matchups that I know my opponent's using Kythera mechanism, such as my brother's deck,
Hmm.
it's really a good idea to hold off on your princess or this card until you're going for the lethal win because it
Gotcha.
otherwise it's doesn't do anything, right? But
Right.
in the
Hmm.
majority of matchups where nobody else is playing it, you slam this immediately, and your thunderbolts just become, or your lightning bolts just become exponentially better. Your
Yeah, you
Nimbus
get to
Gin
target,
is also so much
obviously.
better. Your headless haunts, this being able to choose where your headless haunts go is insane. So
Yeah.
this card is massive.
Yeah, and then the other two cores, just more ramp. You want to not have to get those sites, so just
Ex-
being able to get those instead.
exactly. And the Aquamarine core will help you get the water threshold for the double for the Lantean
Right.
Fate
Hmm.
and the Ruler of Thule. But yeah, essentially the cores are all just one more mana, please.
Hmm. Um, Moving into minions, you have the Grim Reaper, you have a
Mm-hmm.
Highland Princess, the Headless Haunts, Gyre Hippogriffs, Ruler of Thule, Dapper Vampires, two Ghost Ship, and two Nimbus Gen. So I don't think there's any like craziness here
No,
besides I think the Ruler of Thule's an interesting ad. I think it's just because of the charge though, right? Being able to pop on your back row, charge it over to their side, and just hit them for the damage.
exactly. You can play your Nimbus Gin safely on your, i.e., your water site where your avatar
Hmm.
is. Let's say the next turn you drop the Nimbus, the Ruler of Thule, swing around the edges, get that extra one damage in, um, but primarily charge. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just another charger.
Hmm. And then with Grim Reaper, obviously that's a crazy combo with Evil Presence being able just to charge in when you summon
Yes.
him and take out something that's pivotal like Slumbering Giantess or Colicky Dragonettes. I could see that
Mm-hmm.
devastating some Earthfire decks out there.
Pudge Butchers or a
Yeah,
what's another huge Hounds of Honduras are very difficult to
yeah,
deal
Hounds of
with.
Honduras.
So
That's yeah,
mhm. So that's
yeah,
one card I'm kind of scared of in this deck are the Hounds. But
yeah,
Grim Reaper is great with that, especially if you combine it with, like you said, Evil Presence or Whirling Blades. Then you
yeah.
get to take out multiple targets, and that feels great.
Yes, fantastic. And then Highland Princess, obviously, you're going to search for one of those cores or the Kythera or Philosopher's Stone, whatever you
Typically, the
haven't
Philosopher's
found.
Stone. Yeah, exactly. Typically, the Philosopher's Stone or the Kythera mechanism, right? Exactly.
Right,
And it's a little nerd blocker that can, you know, protect your avatar.
right. I think so. Headless Haunt. When I started in this game, I was like, dude, it gave us
Yeah,
those Frazettas. Those are really cool. Like, but I don't see how this can be good. You have to randomize and stuff. And then, as I was playing with Headless Haunt more, as the board expands, you really find that
there's
it's
so
kind of
many.
a 50-50 shot.
Yeah, and even more so. Yeah, I fully agree. It does look really terrible on the surface. It looks unplayable. But like you said, as the game progresses, there's going to be more sites that are basically quote unquote live to either attack your opponent's site or attack into their creatures or just defend your own sites or creatures. So, and then with Kythera mechanism, it's insane.
It's
It's just
crazy. Yeah.
go teleport anywhere with a four power body.
Yeah,
So
wherever the problems are, you can
you're
get
right.
there.
And you can set this up. What I like to do is if I set this up early, I can put it in the void next to one of my sites that I anticipate a possible attack. Like on the
Hmm.
turn, I set it out. If they attack, I eat it. Excellent. Or it prevents them from attacking. And then the next turn, it's randomized. You know, wherever it goes, it's kind of just extra value. So I love this card.
Yeah,
Very hard to remove as well with Void Walk.
right. And also the whole 3 for 4 is great too. Right, it's below
Exactly.
that curve. So,
We love to
guy,
see it.
yeah, Gyre Hippogriffs. It's there for the charge.
Hmm.
Everyone knows it. 4 for 3. It's
Beautiful.
it's good.
It is, and the airborne's really nice as well. It
Yeah,
makes it defensive, and it can move in, diagonally, which is beautiful. But also the defensive nature of they have to attack it with another airborne, or use a spell card to remove it.
right. So you're
So very
targeting
good.
removal with Gyro Hippogriffs as well.
Right.
We talked on Ruler of Thule, Dapper of Vampires, just in case you need the healing, kind of, or is there more to it?
Primarily just a value body. 5 for 4 is pretty nice with airborne, and especially with the healing. So it is primarily just I guess it serves two roles. It's a brawler that can heal you, which is really nice, but it also is a threat that requires your opponent to kind of remove. So that means it'll be your Nimbus Djinn will be that much safer, or your Ghost Ship will be that much safer because they're ideally using their removal on your vampires or other
Hmm.
early threats.
Right.
So
And then Ghost Ship, you can get any spirit back from your graveyard. So this also can recur your Nimbus Djinn, your Grim Reaper if you wanted to, Headless Haunt, and I think that's
or
it,
the
right?
other or the other Ghost Ship, but
Or
yes,
the
yeah.
yeah, other Ghost Ship. I didn't think of that.
So that has come up where, in just the game I played today with my brother, I moved my Cloud City over one position, so my open space at the bottom was a void. I
Gotcha.
played Ghost Ship there safely, and then next turn I dropped my Ruler of Thule and was able to swing my Ghost Ship around onto his avatar, summoning a Nimbus Djinn onto that, and then we
Ooh,
went from there.
there we
So
go.
yeah,
Nice.
so it can really open up some cool abilities with the Ghost Ship, and
Right.
just recursion is nice, as well as it being a 5 power threat as well.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah, and then Nimbus Jin is kind of your engine, right? It's the guy you want to get out and just slam that damage.
exactly, this can win you the game, or put your opponent from 15 to 0 relatively easily. So this is the card I'm trying to set up that the deck is geared towards and built around. It's super explosive. However, all the other cards I've added in are value cards, so you don't have to win off of the Nimbus Djinn.
Hmm.
You can get in plenty of chip damage and just out tempo them. But this Nimbus Djinn, if it sticks and you have an opening to get it onto their head, it's almost guaranteed death's door. And then it's still typically there, and they have to deal with it that turn or they lose. In my opinion, this is one of the best finishers in the game currently.
So I noticed that you don't have Hounds of Honduras. Would that be kind of too many of those like higher what do you call it? Cost minions?
It it was between. I feel like the Hounds of Honduras would fit in the Dapple Vampire slot. It's kind
Hmm.
of that slot, and the reason I chose vampires is the life gain is very nice, but it can be removed. Like I was saying, within Hounds of Enduros, they can't remove it with bury or drown or any of the
Hmm.
traditional removal. So that means that bury or that drown is going to be sitting in their hand for my Nimbus Djinn. So I kind of
Gotcha.
using the vampires as bait, and the hounds are too good, I guess. Yeah, I mean, but so that was kind of my logic was like, let me keep the vampires because they're still excellent. They can gain you life, which can be game changing, can swing the game by itself if they can't answer it. And then if they do answer it, that means they're likely not answering your Nimbus Gem.
Right.
So,
And I
but
guess
hounds
you
would be a
have
nice.
yeah. I guess you also have like good like other removal targets that they probably would want to hit, like Headless Haunt, Grim Reaper, and maybe
Uh,
even Ruler of Thule or Gyre Hippogriff. It looks like the whole list could be targeted
exactly.
for.
As are good options for your opponent to remove that they kind of
Hmm.
need to answer right away, or I'll just continue gaining value off of them. Exactly. That was kind of the
The thought
idea of the
process
deck.
there, yeah.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
precisely.
So moving on to the magic here, you have one browse, three blink, three lightning bolt, two drown, two chaos twister, and two whirling blades. The browse, I'm assuming to go look for something like the Nimbus Djinn or the Grim Reaper or Core or
or the evil
Atlantean Fate.
presence, actually, or the Atlantean Fate. Right, exactly. I when I was building this deck, it's in a way it is kind of a combo deck where I want
Right.
to have a Nimbus Djinn and Evil Presence, or a Nimbus Djinn and Whirling Blades, or a Blink, something to surprise my opponent with positioning and just drop my hand. So
Gotcha.
I felt Browse really fit into that kind of game plan where I'm going to be looking for specific pieces. Like I'll have the Nimbus Djinn, but I need to find a Blink or
Hmm.
um, something like that. So I felt like in combo type decks where you want to be getting multiple pieces, Browse is
Yes,
amazing.
super good.
Hmm.
The blinks, they're good because they're cantrip. They go find a card for you, or you get to draw a card, right?
Right.
So they're just kind of replacing itself, which makes it so with the Jin, you can blink the Jin, you're not down on cards.
100%, yeah. As well as that's the primary purpose for the blinks, or to position
Hmm.
your Jins and replace itself. However, like I said, against Earth decks or anything where positioning matters for your avatar, blinking your avatar away safely is also really nice.
Gotcha.
So blinks are just cantrip that can be
Hmm.
used.
And then lightning bolts is good and even better with Kythera mechanism where you
Oh
can
yeah.
specifically target on that site. And then drown, I'm assuming to remove artifacts from your opponent because you're not running disenchant.
Yes. Drown is another card that maybe I could look at. Um, it's basically because we're not playing Earth. It's it's effectively our berry.
Right.
So especially with floodplain, which is in my opinion the best water site, I can flood an opponent's site that has one of their large threats, drown it.
Hmm.
Um, it could be um, a disenchant for just artifacts. That might be a good option, but just hard
So,
removal is nice.
gotcha. So, uh, one guy that we've interviewed on here before is Rudosaurus.
Yes. Yeah.
He's been piloting a deck called the Pool Party, and it's all geared around Geyser. Have you thought about Geyser in this deck instead of Drown to kind of give that airborne, get that card draw, and to be able to potentially flood a site that you wouldn't have otherwise, and maybe keep the drowns in to then drown that thing?
That is a good. That's a good question. Yeah, Geyser is a nice card. I do think it could find a spot in this list. Maybe you could drop one of the cores, or maybe reduce blinks and add a
Hmm.
couple of geysers, because that will give you more mobility on some of your units.
Hmm.
Because doesn't it grant airborne to everybody
Yeah.
on the site, and
Yep.
then you draw a card and
Yep.
it floods it? Yeah, it's
Yeah. It's
pretty
a three
versatile.
for.
And it costs two or one, or
It's two. It's two with one threshold.
that's a pretty nice card. So that could definitely see a spot on this list for sure.
Gotcha. And then Chaos Twister. People love it or people hate it. Which one are you on?
I personally, I hate it. I don't like. I
I
don't
feel
like
like
any.
everyone I play, like I talk to, that has it in
Mhm.
their deck, they're like, I hate it. And I'm like, why do you have it in your deck
It's
then?
too good though. It's
It's
too
too
good.
good. It's
It
too
really
good.
is. I feel like physical dexterity type cards really kind of don't have a place in a trading card game. I get their fun. Um,
Hmm.
I don't know. They have a place, but in a competitive type environment, it can open up some like a can of worms.
Yeah.
However, that being said, the card is insanely powerful. You get to choose any of their minions, well, any minion, and effectively almost guarantee remove that one, and then you could remove multiple other units as well. It's just so strong. So,
Right. I
but
feel
you could
like,
also blow it onto yourself in a crucial match and lose it.
yeah.
So that's
So one thing that I've heard from some people that have been playing Air is they're like, the minute there's a good removal card for Air, Chaos Sister's out of my deck.
I agree. That's another reason, is that's the kind of the reason Drown is in there as well, is there's not a lot of good just one for one removal catch all options in Air. Chaos Twister is by far the best one.
Hmm.
So I agree. As soon as there's a similarly costed and effective card, I'll be swapping it out as well.
Gotcha. And then Whirling Blades. It's unreal what you can do with that card.
Yes, that's another card, kind of like Headless Haunt, where when I first read it, I thought it was truly awful. I was like, this
Hmm.
is like, I don't know, it's too expensive, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, the things you can do with Whirling Blades, I've won just by moving my avatar up one and then Whirling Blades my avatar to like move all the way up to theirs and kill them when
Yeah,
they're at death's
yeah.
door.
There you
So
go.
it can be a finisher with anybody on your board. They can almost always reach your opponent's avatar. With Grim Reaper, it can eat multiple different minions out of their whole deck, which in some cases could just win you the game on the spot,
Yeah.
depending on the yeah. So
Rip
um,
Wolf deck.
yeah, yes, literally. So it's just amazing. Whirling Blades is a really great card, and if you're cheating it out a little bit with Philosopher's Stone, getting that discount, it makes it feel so much better. But
Right.
yeah, that with the Ghost ship is also really strong.
Yeah.
So uh, there's just a lot of options, and with the Nimbus Gin, of course, is like the main target. You
Right.
swing, you just fly over your little guy over, deal the extra 4 damage, and clear up anything on the site. If you, let's say you don't have the mechanism, it'll clear that whole site as long as it's 4 damage, and
Hmm.
then you can just dump your hand onto their head without having to worry about any of their chump blockers they may have set up.
Gotcha.
So
So, was there ever a possibility of adding a third element to the deck, like earth or fire, to it
um,
to just kind of add a little bit more? Or was it
there
kind of
we
like, nah, I like the air, I like the water, we're good?
it was originally, so how this deck came about was my friend Terry. He was playing a sorcerer water fire primarily deck with Orb of Balbareth and just trying to go as fast as possible and using the water sites as defense for his orb and his other artifacts and minions. And then over time, he started slowly gravitating towards the spirits and stuff.
Hmm.
And at the same time, I built just a turbo gin deck, mono air, and just was trying to see how fast I can dump my hand and if it was actually good enough path. And I did. It was successful, and so he was like, "We should just combine our two decks, like take the best from each." So that's where like the water sites and like the kind of the all the blinks and the drowns and that kind of package came from. So there was fire in it originally. We were running Pact with the Devil and all the apprentices, all the wizards, like the wizard
Hmm.
package. But I feel like with the sorcerer, that's a bit redundant. Um,
Hmm.
so if we were to add that package, I would probably go back to go to a death speaker. But I feel like how this deck is, there's not much room. Uh,
Yeah.
there's not much stuff you can cut with and to add. So
Gotcha. So with the sites, we have Cloud
mm,
City, two Dark Tower, three Floodplain, two Gothic Tower, three Lighthouse, two Lone Tower, one Mirror Realm, one Pillar of Zeros, one Tadpole Pool, one Color Out of Space, and three Updraft Ridge. So one thing that I found interesting that I've seen in a lot of sorcerer decks, and I personally love the card, why no Imperial Roads? Just kind of trying to limit those sites or the potential for your opponent to use those sites against you by attacking them.
you know what? Um, I think Imperial Road would should go in this deck. Like I said, this was we kind of just mashed our two decks together.
Hmm.
I don't really know why we didn't decide to put Imperial Road in. Neither of us were running them at the time, but I do think that could be perfectly fine. You don't have you do have a lot of double air thresholds, so
Hmm.
threshold could certainly be an issue. But yeah, I think that could certainly happen. If you were to add that, I would drop Pillar of Zyros and potentially either Tadpole Pool or Color Out of Space and add two Imperial Road. And I think
Gotcha.
that would be just fine. And that would also help with getting these higher cost
Right.
minions out. So yeah, could be nice.
Yeah. One thing I've been doing a lot since I've been running primarily my version of Earthfire, like the Fury Road version.
Hmm.
I've changed it up a little bit, but one thing I've found a ton of success with is the ability to tell my opponent, "Hey, I'm going to get an extra site here. Would you like an extra site here?" By
Right.
putting it down turn one. Play Imperial Road. Hey,
Yes.
what do you want to do?
You
And it's one of
want
those
to have a
things
site right
where,
in front of me?
yeah, and they usually take it, and then I put down my Earth card and my Earth site, and then I put down a boss troll on my Imperial Road.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, okay, so he's gonna wail on me for 3 damage for like 2 turns if I don't have an answer for this right now."
Immediately,
So, and
exactly.
it's really hard to have an answer when you are at 2 mana. You have bury, and that's practically it.
And then
I think
that's
you
your
have
entire
maybe
turn.
Firbolgs,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And you're
exactly.
just removing a card I put out. So
Right.
I found a ton of success with that where I'll just like wail on them for like like 2 turns. It's like, okay, you're at 6.
Effectively for free. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I
it's
like
really
it.
good. Um,
I like that. Imperial Road could definitely find a spot in here, at least to test for sure.
right. Updraft Ridge seems like a very good card when you think about how much Airborne can move and the diagonal potential.
And effectively, it's almost the entire board. Like, I
Yeah.
guess it's one column that you couldn't reach if you're like
Mm-hmm.
centralized. So, yeah, it's very nice. Um,
Yeah.
and with the majority of this deck having airborne, such
Mm-hmm.
as the hippogriffs, the vampires, the Nimbus Djinn, basically all your main threats,
Mm-hmm.
uh, it really can get you in some into some positions that your opponent doesn't really expect. And with the changes to the defense and the blocking rules, this also makes your guys much more defensive as well. They can block across the board. So very nice.
Yeah. Something I was I was thinking this right now. If Headless Haunt was airborne, it'd be nuts. On top of being able
That
to
would be
teleport.
crazy because then that would open up so many more sites that would be like live if it could fly diagonally and attack their sites or whatever that. Oh, I
Right.
guess they can't fly in the
Be able to
void
block
diagonally,
out.
but yeah, it would be.
Right.
We
It'd
don't
be
need
pretty
that.
good.
That card does not need any more keywords.
Yeah, fair enough. The let's see here. You have the Mirror Realm, which so everyone knows why Mirror Realm, but which sites are you potentially going to copy with Mirror Realm? Like, what are your targets?
Um, honestly, this is another one that could probably. It doesn't have a great role in here, other than copying
Mm-hmm.
Cloud City is fantastic. Having two Cloud Cities can really lock down your opponent's uh, sites. If you get them early, you can just fly them along the edges and then just establish sites and literally landlock them. Um,
Gotcha.
but outside of Cloud City, Floodplain is honestly your only other good target. So this you
Mm-hmm.
could probably cut this for an Imperial Road if you want to keep some more of your threshold or
Yeah,
yeah,
you could also just mirror around the
this could
Imperial
be cut.
Road and be almost
Hey,
there.
that's right. Yeah, that's true. The only problem with the Imperial Road, I would say, is having to draw that. You have to have that extra sight in your hand. So if you don't have it
Right.
early, um, and then you're like top decking that Imperial Road, that can kind of feel bad if that's your only sight. And then you're like, well, do I just like not play a sight this turn and then draw another one
Right.
next turn to play both of it's kind
Mm-hmm.
of a little bit awkward. So
Gotcha.
I can,
Yeah, and I
yeah,
guess with
it
you
could go
wanting to
either way.
have 3 air, if you're trying to have 3 air too with the browse, it probably you don't want to have too many sites that don't give you threshold.
Yeah, like I did mention, the threshold. I have a lot of double threshold as well. So
Right.
yeah, if you did run a Imperial Road, you would need to just pay attention and see if it's
Right.
affecting your ability to play your spells.
Have you
But yeah,
thought about doing I think it's called Mountain Pass, the air one, where if you put a dude there, they can't get to you, or they can't go onto that
yeah,
site?
yeah, that could be nice.
Just kind of put it in front and make
Yeah,
it so it's like, hey, you have to kill this dude if you want to get him over here, and you have to do it
the
without getting
problem
onto
with
that site.
that Yeah, the problem with that is I don't really have any too many guys that I could just like camp on there. maybe the
Gotcha.
Highland Princess or the like Grim Reaper. But then, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I do see the how that's a good site, but I feel like I don't have the bodies for it. If I was playing
Gotcha.
Wizards, then
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Or like maybe something like Tufted Turtles, which
Yeah, you could throw
that's a
those in
cool.
there.
That's a yeah yeah. So, but yeah, that's an option. Another option was Watchtower, just to get rid
Yeah,
of
yeah.
stealth, opposing like infiltrates or anything like
Mm-hmm.
that. Another option could be Observatory is just good to have a one of, just help craft
Yeah,
the
look
top
at
of your deck
those.
a little
Yep.
bit.
Mm-hmm.
hmm So if you wanted to put more of those air like utility sites, you would cut down on the basic towers. You would go down
Towers.
one to one of each. I personally wanted the high chance of grabbing a tower off the top of my deck to get my Nimbus Jins out faster, my ghost ships, my vampires. I just
Mm-hmm.
valued the ramp of the towers more than some of the utility of the other sites.
Gotcha. Let's see here. We have the floodplains, which helps with that threshold because you
hmm
only need it for the turn, right? You don't really need it for your opponent's turn. So,
Exactly. So you can go to double threshold just off of a single floodplains, which is
mm-hmm.
super good. Or you could flood your opponent's site and drown their thing, or whatever you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Or what you can do is if you need to Atlantean Fate something, however, it's on an ordinary site, you can flood it because Atlantean Fate will still drown everything that's on water. So even if it's
Mm.
ordinary, the creature or the artifact or whatever
Mm.
will still get drowned.
That
So
I didn't think of that. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. Lighthouse, just the being able
just
to
double,
have
yeah,
that
dual
dual
lands.
dual air, right?
It's good to start with that
Dude,
as
you know
well because
what?
that'll protect your all your cores and stuff as well on your sorcerer.
Right. I've thought about it, and I don't know if they will do it, but it'd be really interesting if they came out with double air, double fire, double earth, double
Oh,
for a site, and it's just like there you go.
maybe they will actually. That's actually good. I never really considered that because yeah. But I think they definitely could.
There
Maybe
would have to
even
be some
the
kind of
site.
downside or something to
That's what I was
it.
gonna say. Maybe like this turn it comes down, it doesn't provide mana,
Yeah,
or something similar to like coming in tapped from other
right.
popular games.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but yeah,
That
I
was the
think
thing that
that's
I
a
was
good
thinking
idea. I've never
about. Yeah.
considered that. Interesting.
Let's see here. Cloud City, you used it. You use it primarily to block off site placement for your opponent, right?
Yes, or to protect my avatar. Sometimes you can
Just
be a
kind of
little
tuck them
lame.
away in the void.
Yeah. If you start it, you can establish your T, and then keep moving him over, and then you can fly diagonal with Cloud City.
Oh,
So if
what?
you
You
yeah,
can?
so
That's
it's a
crazy.
nearby site. So
Okay.
you can build your little T, you move over, and then the next turn you move over to like next to your T on the edge of the realm, and then establish a site there. And then the next turn you hide in this little corner, and because it's a diagonal, you're in this little pocket. They can't establish any sites next to you as long as you don't establish a site next to you. They can only reach you via direct things such as lightning bolt or airborne if they happen to get like in position.
hmm
So yeah, that's a
Yeah.
kind of a Cloud City is amazing. Any air deck should run Cloud City.
Did you get the dust one?
I did, yes. Yeah,
Nice.
I
I've
did.
thought about picking it up a couple times now.
It's that was basically all my dust. I was able to get that and the Pudge Butcher. So
There you go.
yeah, yes.
What do they call it in the Discord? Crack Daddy? Is that what it
Yeah,
is?
yes.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Let's see here. And then color out of space. You gotta learn how to place color out of space. But once you do, this also is just great for getting that threshold right.
Yeah, it's effectively and another water site for like quote unquote defense. So
Gotcha.
yep,
And then
because there aren't
tadpole
many people
pool,
playing
water.
drowns or anything.
Right.
Yeah, any sort of water removal. So typically, if your thing is on a water site, it's going to be sticking around. And then
So
tadpole pool. Oh, go
yeah.
ahead.
No, you're good. I was about to just say that.
And then tadpole pool is just we just wanted another water site. This could be just a river, but I feel like generating three bodies, it can come
Yeah,
in
just
handy.
it's defense. It's just a
Yeah,
defensive.
exactly. So it's nothing huge. This could easily be cut if you don't have a tadpole pool or want to run something different. Yeah, feel free. I think out of the deck, the most the part that can be most adjusted is the sight deck for sure.
Gotcha. Yeah, actually, I was gonna show you. I've been kind of tinkering around with your deck here.
Yeah, I was gonna see if ask if you got a
Let's
chance
see.
to play it out.
I haven't had a ton of time, but this is kind of what I was working with. So
Okay,
let's see here. I kept the Chaos Twisters in because I was like, sure, we'll just do
it's the
it.
best removal. Yeah,
Yeah, I did take out that Ruby core, and I think
fair.
what did I add in? What did I do?
Uh,
Oh, I added
it
one more
looks
lightning bolt.
like that's 100% fair. Yeah, yeah. I actually kind of want to go up to 4 as well on my lightning
Yeah,
bolts.
just because again, it's the
Um,
whole removal. You can't really remove like you need some removal in an air deck. So
100%, and it could be your finisher, so that as well.
yeah,
You could just
I think
and then
yeah,
you
and
looks like
then
you also put in the Imperial Roads,
yeah, I went Imperial Road and Mirror Realm, and then took out the
the
Tadpole
Tadpole
Pool.
Pool, and the Pillar of Xyros. Yeah, which I
Yep.
would have done is
Hmm.
yeah, perfectly fair. Yeah, the only thing like we were saying is maybe
I,
the air threshold could get questionable,
yeah,
but I
honestly,
think it'll be fine.
I think I might take out the Mirror Realm,
Hmm.
like you were saying, and maybe put in an observatory, or
Yeah,
even
or a
maybe I'll go
Watchtower.
down on Gothics and then put down some like I played an observatory in another sorcerer deck I played, and
Mm,
just knowing, okay, I'm gonna draw these two, and then I know I'm gonna draw one of this other card, but then I don't know the
right.
other card. But at least I know what I'm doing moving forward the next turn. It's that gained information that's just so nice.
It's really nice, and it also allows you to because sometimes it's awkward to know when to draw a site as a sorcerer because you
Mm-hmm.
do need to draw at least 2 to 3 sites during the game.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing what your next spells are going to be, it can help you line up your turns much better, and you can get that site off when it's most convenient, or draw a site when it's most convenient. I
So
agree. So what observatory could be very good.
yeah, so one thing that I've been kind of tinkering around with, and I don't know if you've also seen success with this or not, but when I've been playing Sorcerer, I I've been going second more than I've been going first
Hmm,
recently
okay,
because I have this kind of philosophy where it's like, okay, I'm technically at a full hand right now, right? I have three cards. I have like three spells. So that's my full hand, right? That's
sure.
technically how sorcery works with its full
That's
hand size.
yeah, yeah, right.
And so I was like, I don't need to draw another spell right now. It's not like I can play it probably.
Fair,
Like unless it's like a philosopher's stone or a core, I
sure.
probably can't play it because I'm playing Earth Fire. So I was thinking for the first two turns, I draw my two sites that I need to because again, my opponent isn't going to be able to do too much to me. I'm not going to be able to do too much to him. So I might
Right.
as well just do it now. So then I can just play the sites and just start drawing
I
as
like
quickly
that.
as possible versus having to do the whole like, okay, should I do a site now? It's like, no, I already did that. Sites are done. I'm
That's a
done.
good.
We don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah, I actually like that. That is good. Because a lot of the your early game stuff's not that impactful, anyways. Like especially in Earth Fire, you're like sitting on a violent that's not going to kill anything, anyways,
Right,
or
exactly.
a boss troll that you can get that in later and it'll be just as effective.
Hmm.
So that's or you just play it because you have it already. So
Right.
yeah, I like that. That's good.
And I
I
don't know
agree
how
with
well
that
that
too.
would work with your deck specifically, but I've just found like as I play sorcerer more and more, I'm like, I want it. I usually play a sorcerer deck that I like six. If I can get to six, that's cool. But I'm comfortable with five. I'm comfortable with five sites and finding a core
Yes,
or philosopher's stone later. That's probably
that's
what I will do.
that's where I like to sit as sorcerer as well. This
Hmm.
deck kind of goes against that slightly with the 6 cost curve,
Hmm.
but in sorcerer, I like to have my sit at 5 and only go up to my 6th site for like my flame wave finish or whatever. I'm winning the game effectively that
Right,
turn that
exactly.
way.
It's like I'm gonna draw a
So
site. I'm gonna play it. I have the flame wave. Boom, we're done.
yeah, exactly. So
Hmm.
I agree with you. And drawing it early, like you said, 3 is your full hand. So if you take the first 2 turns to draw your sites, and say you play one card each of those turns, you have one card, and then you have your sites. The
Yeah, but then you just
next
draw your
turn, exactly, you draw two, and now you're back up to quote unquote full hand, and you have all your
right.
sites. You don't have to worry about them for this game.
Hmm.
I'm gonna try that out. I like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I do like that.
because I've been kind of tinkering around with like the whole like is first really that good or is second better? Because you get to draw,
Sure.
right? You're the first one to decide, okay, I get to draw something. And I think
Hmm.
a lot of people are just like, I'm gonna draw a spell. I'm like, why? Like the worst thing that
Are you
you want
playing
to
that
do
spell? Yeah,
is,
exactly.
yeah, exactly. It's like the thing that's the worst thing to do in sorcery, on like for the most part, is draw a sight, right? You don't want to be
For the
drawing a
first thing
sight
of
for your turn,
turn,
right?
yeah.
You don't want to be doing that. So for me, I've just been realizing, okay, well, then let's just draw it early because again, we're kind of just building here. We're building. You're not hurting me really. I'm not hurting you. That's not how this game works. So I'm
Yeah.
just going to draw my two sides here and then I can start wailing on you pretty early because once those two extra turns go by,
I'm
I'm
just drawing
drawing
a double
this.
spell every
Yep, I'm
turn.
just drawing double spells unless I need that. Oh, okay, I'm drawing a lot more of my threes. Okay, I need to slow down,
Let
so
me
I'll
go up a
draw.
little.
I'll
Yeah.
draw a spell, and then I'll tap, draw a sight, which I think a lot of people also don't like. They forget that he has that top one too.
I do that semi frequently. Is I'll draw my top first spell for the turn, see what I want to do, and then I'm like, okay, I'm doing this. Let me just tap again to draw a sight to get it out of the way.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree. And I think that your gameplay and philosophy on drawing the sites early also plays into having Imperial Road. So I
yeah,
think that is definitely good. So
hmm
if you're going to play Imperial Road in the site, I would certainly try to play the way you suggested. Yeah,
yeah. If you want to,
good
real
point.
quick, I can kind of show off my this the fire deck I've been working with.
Yeah, sure,
So
sure.
this is kind of what
Yeah,
I've been. So I think I took out the Jihad recently, but I've been kind
okay.
of doing more minions than I have been magics recently. Just thinking. So I think what I did here. Okay, so I have changed some stuff recently. So I did would
Nice.
go up to two autumn unicorns because I'm like if we're going the value game, autumn unicorn is good. And
Mhm.
honestly, I can probably get my earth fire two and two that I need. I'm not going to three on anything, and I'm
Yeah,
probably going those four or five. I'm going four. I'm going five or six sides. So you just have
exactly.
to make
So
five or
you
six of
should
the,
be
you
able to
have to
get
make four of those earth fire, right? So
right.
you
Yeah,
should be able
exactly.
to do it. I went down from I think a lot of people have been doing this recently. Is just taking out more cores. So
Yeah.
for me, I was like, I don't like seeing them, and if I need to see them, I probably want the ruby over the onyx. Which I might change that now because of how I've changed my sites recently. But
Sure.
it's just one of those things where I actually this was something that I don't know if someone someone can hate on me later if I ruined this for someone, but I asked in the rules Discord recently,
Hmm.
does Dwarven Digging Team give everything? So if you bury the Dwarven Digging Team, right, because it has burrow, you burrow
Hmm.
it, you then on the nearby sites then allow all of those minions to have burrowing because it targets the sites. It doesn't target the minions. So it doesn't have to stay on the surface, which means it's
True.
harder to remove,
Yeah.
which makes it so I'm like in an earth fire deck where you're not running water and not having those safe sites. This is
Hmm.
your way of getting around it. Oh, you bury.
I
Okay,
agree.
because you want me to bury, because what you're trying to do with your bury is not just okay, I burrowed your thing. That's not what you want. You want to
No, you want it
kill
to be
that thing.
destroyed.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So this kind of mitigates that. And then I was also thinking, how do you play it with Earthquake? And you just put your Dwarven Digging Team here, and then to the sides is where you put your units, right?
Hmm.
Because anywhere they put that Earthquake, they can't like he has to move
He'll still
inside of
be
that.
there. Yeah.
Hmm. I
Okay. Yeah,
think,
I
yeah,
like
if you
that.
do it, if you do it
I
right, I
mean,
think it'll work.
yeah, because that targets the nearby sites have burrowing. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Beautiful.
like you can't just like slumbering like because the problem with like everything's it goes to that philosophy of like threes, right? Lightning bolt
Hmm.
does three, firebolt does three. All of these like smaller removals do three. The
Yeah.
only successful way we know, besides maybe immolation, is to bury or submerge something, right? So if you can
Correct.
take
Yeah.
that out of your mix where you have the Slumbering Giantess, like, oh, okay, you now have the Dwarven Digging Team to be like, okay, so you can't bury it. So what's your answer to it? You now have to give me 2 cards for this thing. I'm okay with that trade.
Exactly. I'll take that all day. That's almost exactly why we were playing the water sites, heavy water sites, is
Hmm.
just limit the amount. There's not a lot of hard removal or stuff in the game, and just limiting the amount that can target you is massive. When I was testing it out briefly, I tested Kingdoms of Agartha,
Kingdom of
I believe it
Agartha,
is,
yep.
but
The
it
only
seemed to kind of backfire because then you can't play your own berries, you can't play
right,
your own earthquake. It's
which
kind
was
of
the whole thing I was thinking about. I was like, we got to find something that doesn't let them have it, but us have
yeah.
it.
I
And I was
think
like, if
Dwarven
Kingdom
King
of
is nice.
Agartha, I was like, if Kingdom of Agartha is a thing, then okay. Like if it
Yeah,
had just been me that gets that burrow ability, it'd be so good. Like everyone should play it.
everyone would play that. Yeah.
But because it doesn't, and it's everyone, you have to find a different way of doing it. So I was thinking
Hmm.
Dwarven Digging Team, but again, you have to kind of. I haven't played it a ton, so I don't know if it's super good. But I was thinking this might be the answer to it because you can just immediately play a
Yeah,
burrow,
I like it.
and then hey, you can't bury my stuff, and if you're not running water, you can't.
How are you going to get rid of this?
Yeah, you can't
Yeah,
do it
exactly.
because you can't. Oh yeah, you're just gonna
Same problem
bury
with
it
Root
again.
Spider.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly. It's the same problem with root spider, so it's kind of it answers that same question.
100%. I know. I
So
like that. I think a one of is really good.
yeah, I think I put 2 in just to make it more consistent, but I don't. Yeah, I haven't played it long enough to really justify my theory or
Who
not. But
knows? Two could be correct. Yeah, exactly. But at
mhm.
least to test it out
Yeah,
is what I'm saying. Yeah, it definitely
yeah.
seems worth it. Yeah, I like this
So
list.
if you have a little bit of time, I
Hmm.
would like to kind of let's switch over to. I think it's 3. Let's go over here. There we go. So I was just gonna do some quick rapid fire questions here at the end, just kind of get some just general sorcery stuff, right? Just kind of
Sure. Yeah.
favorite things of this, that, or the other thing, or how you got into it. So as I said earlier, how'd you get into sorcery? What did someone tell you? Did you hear about the Kickstarter? What was your kind of intro into it?
Um, I I heard that there were like it was like valuable. To be honest, is I heard like, oh, you can't get
Fair
that
enough.
game. It's too hard. It's the boxes are so hard to find valuable, whatever. And then my local game store had one box available, and then the starter decks. And I was like, oh, okay, well maybe I should just get it because it's hard to get, which is a terrible mindset. But I was like, let me just look into the game because maybe if it's fun, why not? So then I went home, watched some videos on like how to play like on the starter decks, and I
Hmm.
was immediately like, okay, yeah, I want this game. The thing that really sold it to me was in the video they were playing. I think they played a sedge crab, and it said it can only move sideways, and I was like, okay, this is definitely like a game for me where it's a little bit goofy but like interesting rule mechanics. Having the grid positioning was very cool and exciting for me. And so I
Hmm.
went and bought the starter literally that day. I went, just drove right back and got it, and then it was downhill from there. Yeah. So
There you go. And were you the one that got your brother into it and created this
yes,
mess that is his spirits deck?
yes, yeah, exactly. I got him into it. He's looking into
You're the
it.
reason that we have to deal with this.
I know. Honestly, I know. I was playtesting him and I was beating him up a lot because he'd been working on that deck many iterations. And I was
Hmm.
beating him. And then something happened, and then he was just beating me almost consistently. If he,
Uh,
because I was playing Fury Road at the time, and if he was
hmm.
able to establish 6 or 7 sites, he was able to start dropping those bombs, and I just
Right.
could not handle it. And then Lord of the Void, he started Lord of the
Because
Voiding me.
you got second at the West Virginia qualifier, right? And he
Right.
got first, and that was kind of your guys's like uh, first championship claim to
Yeah, our first.
victory or glory, right?
Right. That was actually our first competitive event, sorcery event at all,
Nice.
and our first games up not against each other. So pretty exciting. Well, I've actually played a few games against the guy at the shop that I bought it from,
Gotcha.
but yeah. So we were
Yeah, cool.
so excited, and I'm super proud of Noah because he built that deck from the ground up. I kind of
Hmm.
took an established meta deck, and we were both very successful. And yeah,
Yeah,
it was awesome.
that's awesome.
Hoping to keep that going. And then
What
yeah, and then he
was
took second in this in the Florida one, where
gotcha,
the deck that I helped create came first.
gotcha.
So not too bad.
What? Let's see here. You already kind of answered that one. Let's see here. What's your favorite artist currently in sorcery, if you can? If it has to be a
Hmm.
couple, also totally fine.
I really like Ian Miller, like the
Yeah,
Ultimate Horror. I think one card that's so beautiful that maybe a little slept on is Wrath of the Sea. That card looks so cool. The
Breath of the
massive
Sea.
wave. If you look into the wave,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
can see
yeah,
all
yeah.
these like demon faces and stuff. Like there's a lot of hidden details. But Ian Miller's super cool. I like who else? Genuinely all of the art. Like
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
not
yeah.
any of them that I'm like. Meh. Um, Another one I really like is Truett Parish.
Yeah,
I
true.
I would love to have that the Crusade Jihad steps Curio. That would be
Oh, give
fantastic.
me a second.
Oh my goodness. Oh no.
I got. I actually got it.
Oh wow, dude. Did you pull that or did you pick it up somehow?
Yeah, I pulled it.
Wow,
Or my
that is
buddy pulled it,
fantastic.
and I traded some stuff for it. So there we go.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
That's one of
actually,
my favorite cards, I think.
yeah. So I'll be honest though. Probably the first event I go to, I'm gonna probably go to a booth and be like, all right, what you
How
want
much?
for it?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't blame you.
because
I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
because it's just like it's one of those things where it's like I'm a player first. I like playing with the
Same.
cards. So once it gets like above like $200, I'm kind of like, "Ugh, I don't
It's
know. I don't
hard
know if I could
to.
really play with this."
I'm thinking the same thing with my Cloud City I just got. It's like the price is just too like I could buy so many other cards and like do some
Hmm.
stuff with that. But yeah, those are beautiful cards. I pulled a the Sketch Curio Avatar of Air,
Oh, dude,
and
that's
I
sick,
had to also sell it. As
dude.
much as I would love to have one of each, like all four of
Mhm.
them, that would be
Yeah,
fantastic.
dude, I don't have
I'm not
X.
financially there.
I haven't. I guess bit the bullet and gotten the pre the pre-con avatars from Alpha, and I'm like, I just
Yeah,
don't know if it's. I'm like, it seems like Earth is the best one. I think that's what
yeah.
everyone agrees with, but
Air is very strong as well, though.
yeah,
So
it's like $200 for one of them, and I'm like, I can't. I'm sorry, but I'm hoping that's like the company just like reprints it eventually or
I
something
hope
because I'm like,
they.
dude, we really like it. It should be a playable piece. Like an avatar should be easily accessible to everyone,
I
in my
agree.
opinion.
I agree. And when I was first looking into the game, and I was asking that employee about it because he was kind of into sorcery,
Hmm.
and he brought up like, yeah, there's the Avatar of Earth, blah blah blah. There, you can't get them anymore. And I looked them up, and I'm like, oh, $150, $200. Like, it almost kind of put me off of the game
Hmm.
entirely because I'm with you. Like, avatars, I feel like should be easily accessible. At least their minimum rarity version.
Right?
So
Yeah,
like,
non-foil shouldn't be more
mm,
than like I don't know, like $1.
$2. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So I'm hoping that they can do effective reprints of those, like
even if
with
it has
just
to be a
different
different
art.
art. Right?
I would,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
I would love it to be a different art because then it maintains value on the original ones, and
Hmm.
then it's accessible to everybody. And now we have more beautiful art for these avatars.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So I hope so, and I feel like that's not out of the question for them to do that. So
Yeah.
or make them as dust rewards,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
ultimate
That
art
would
as a
be great.
dust reward.
Yeah.
That'd be super good.
Let's see here. What are your top three cards gameplay wise? Like, just mechanics or like kind of
Mm,
your favorites to play, I guess.
Probably my favorites to play are Root Spider. It's one of my least favorite to play against. Genuinely, such a frustrating card. Genuinely,
Hey, Geyser
but
works
it's
well with that. Use Geyser the spot, and then all of a sudden
it
it just
drowns them.
submerge it. Yep.
Yeah, that's yeah. So actually, that might be a good reason to play Geyser by itself. So I might add that to my list.
Yeah.
So Root Spider is super strong. I love Nimbus Jin.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one, like I said, one of the best finishers. And then I'm not entirely sure. I really enjoy a lot of the cards. So
Come on, you can say
there's
Chaos
so much.
Twister.
No. Maybe Atlantean Fate. Honestly,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
Atlantean
Atlantean
Fate's
Fate
so
might be
good.
one of my favorite cards. It's just so good.
I, I, I I'm also a huge fan of Ian Miller, and
Nice.
the Free City is just, it's a good
Oh,
card, and the art is just amazing.
I think that card's a bit underrated. Like
Yeah, I don't
it's
know why it's not more in like, especially like with those like mono Earth decks or like things like that. It's like, why aren't you playing like if you
I can
can get
afford
your
the no
fourth
threshold.
threshold, right? You can get fourth threshold super easily if you're getting Earth.
Hmm.
So why aren't you just throwing in like free cities or things to be able to just block for themselves without
I
having your
agree.
opponent to deal with it?
One of the lists that my brother and I are kind of like looking at a little bit, just playing around with, is an elementalist list where we just
Mm,
play all the value lands and just one threshold stuff. So max out on free cities, maxed out on like Rift Valleys, Imperial Roads, stuff like that. That doesn't really
hmm.
provide the necessarily threshold. Rift Valley does, but which is that's silly. I don't think it should, but
Rift
that card
Valley's
is
really
so
good.
strong.
I've been
But
actually playing it more defensively recently than I have been
just to
offensively.
scooch their stuff away and like
Actually,
make a
scooting
wedge.
me away, like just because like sorcerer, like if I'm playing Earth Fire and I'm like, you're gonna firebolt me, but I really want to draw my two cards. I'm just gonna Rift Valley myself over, and so like usually it's like the T pose, right? So
Hmm.
the usually I just Rift Valley myself over to one of the things where it's just like, okay, we have two void, so you can't shoot me
Yeah,
there. Okay, cool. I'll just sit here, and
nice.
I can
Yeah,
still
I
draw my
agree.
two cards.
I like Root Valley a lot. It
Hmm.
is crazy that it provides threshold also, though. In my
Yeah,
opinion, it's very
fair
very good.
enough. Top three art like cards when it comes to art.
Wrath of the Sea, I'd probably
Yeah.
say.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that Curio that you have, but I guess, but
Do
outside
you have
of
the
like just
playmat?
individually, no. Yeah. I got into the game a little late, so all that kind of stuff is
I
it's
have
hard to
it.
justify over.
I have
Oh,
it if we want to talk afterwards and maybe do a
I
trade or something.
actually genuinely, yeah, maybe. Okay,
Okay,
I'll
yeah, we
message
can
you
talk. We
afterwards.
can talk.
But that's one of my favorite arts. The combined. Um, I don't know. What else? It's hard to kind of think off the top of my head. I think Ultimate Horror looks super good.
Mm-hmm.
Ghost
Yeah.
Ship is beautiful.
Yeah.
Um, it's just a lot of great cards.
Mm-hmm. What is your favorite element to play out of the four? What's the one that like
Um,
when you looked at it, you're like, okay, I like air or I like earth
it
or
was
fire, whatever.
originally Earth, I think,
Mm-hmm.
was just my favorite. I really like Earthquake, Land Surveyor, the Root Spider, stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
Pudge Butcher. But my favorite to actually play is probably Air.
Air.
I just think there's a lot of cool stuff in Air, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. Let's see here. What are some speculation or just things you're hoping for when it comes to Arthurian legends? Like, you're like, oh, you know what? It'd be cool if they added this mechanic, or oh, it'd be cool if they introduced this thing from the lore of Arthurian legends. Just along those lines.
I'm not entirely. I haven't put too much thought into that, to be honest. Um, I don't know. I'm excited to see like Morgan Le Fay. Like Morgan Le Fay is that her?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like her. I'm curious to see if they're gonna make those like iconic characters into avatars or unique minions,
Right.
or how that's gonna work. I
Mm-hmm.
also am excited to see if how ordinary sites work in the
Mm-hmm. Right with the draft.
more well just in the set, if it's even going to have ordinary sites
Gotcha.
or if they're going to be the same ones or a
I
new
think
ability.
I think I
Like
heard somewhere. I don't quote me on it, but
mm,
I heard somewhere that they were trying to make like an ordinary site that I don't know if it'll be in the packs, but more like this is just like in like with
oh,
Magic,
like
you
a
had like
draft.
those just like your when you go to a draft with Magic, it's just like choose your lands that are your
Right.
normal lands. I think that's what they would potentially do with this next set. It's just like so that there is value to those ordinary lands. So it's like, oh yeah, actually a lone tower is really good because I'm just going to get air threshold mana cards normally, right?
Yeah.
So then it gives you actual value to maybe trying to draft those cards because there is actual value instead of just being like, okay, give me my 2 Gothic, 2 Lone, 2 Dark. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of what I'm interested in seeing is how they do that in the future because I do think the ordinary sites are not ordinary. They're very good.
Yeah.
So it would be interesting to see how they if they keep printing more of the same into the next set or
Hmm.
they drop those altogether. I don't know. I guess the thing I'm more interested in is just how they're going to do future sets, like
Right.
what size it's going to be, like what kind of cards they're going to include, if they're going to add a bunch of extra mechanics into
Hmm.
this, or they're just going to continue to just add more cards into the pool. So I'm just kind of excited to see a new set in general.
Yeah. I think so. Two things that I kind of was like, when Arthurian Legends was kind of not announced, because I was late to that, so I just found out that Arthurian Legends was the next set. There wasn't like,
Sure,
hey,
yeah, me
guess
too.
what? Um, Arthurian Legends, I was like, I immediately thought like Mighty Python, right? Like Hunt for the Holy
Same.
Grail,
Oh, okay.
Grail.
I hope they add the holy hand grenade. I hope they
Holy
add some sort of
grenade.
holy hand grenade or the beast with sharp, gnarly teeth, aka
Yeah,
the little
that'd be
rabbit.
yeah,
That would
that'd be
be
super cool.
awesome. So I hope they
Um,
do some tributes to that, which
right.
they
That'd be
probably
kind of
will.
cool.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about like the Holy Grail as like a card. Like, what could this thing be? Like, it obviously has to be some kind of unique. But I
Yeah.
was thinking it's a one-time use artifact that you can that only your avatar like that maybe you play a site and then you take it from like a sideboard and you put it on that site, so you have to hunt for the Holy Grail,
Okay.
or it's just in your deck, right?
Sure.
And what the ability of the Holy Grail is would be the only card in the game
Bring you back
that
from
can
Death's
bring
Door.
from Death Star.
Yep.
Yeah,
Which
that
would
I
be
was like
super
that would be
thematic.
so powerful too. It's like you play this, you have it on your avatar. It would be an immediate removal card, and like I'm gonna remove this from the game. I don't want you to have that.
Yeah. I don't think that would be too busted either.
No, it
Like I
wouldn't be
think that could
busted,
be
but it'd be really good to kind of. It would also give more emphasis to healing cards, right? Because then it's like, okay,
yes.
I'm gonna pop my
Holy
Holy Grail,
Grail.
and then I'm going to do Divine Healing for 7,
Yeah.
and that just
Exactly.
changes the game completely, right? It's just like, oh shoot, he's now no longer on Death's Door, but he's also at 7, and I was at Death's Door, and I
Yeah.
haven't pulled my Holy Grail.
Now I'm on the back foot.
Right,
I think that could
exactly.
be very interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I think it could just be in your deck, but I do like this idea of it being on a site, and
Hmm.
then it comes into play on that site, and you have to go get it. That could be
Hmm.
interesting as well.
I was
Or have
thinking
your
also.
minions bring it over. You know.
Right. I was also thinking of like a site. I don't know what it would be called, but or maybe it would be a card. I was thinking kind of on the same lines of like Shifting Sands, where it reactivates the ability of the genesis of all the deserts nearby.
Sure.
Instead, maybe it's a site, like an exceptional site, just like Shifting Sands is, but it reactivates the ability of the foot soldiers.
Oh yeah, why not? Yeah,
Or I
that could be
was
nice.
thinking if you're doing like a bigger version of that, you
Hmm.
do instead of like it's a border militia, it's every Earth site you have, you just immediately drop a foot soldier on.
Yeah, that could be nice.
Like it'd be
Or
really
a,
defensive.
or you could have a like a barracks card or something like an
Mm-hmm.
artifact that just like sits on the Earth site and every turn just spits out a little
Summons
dude.
one. Yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
cool. Yeah.
something cool like that. Yeah, there's a lot of potential in this game, and with the like grid system,
Yeah,
I
I
think
don't think
there's
it'd
a
be
lot of
crazy.
possibilities. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So I think, let's see here. With you going to a couple tournaments now,
Mm.
I've been to a couple Flesh and Blood tournaments. I've had to deal with the grind of fatigue of like playing games and stuff. And hey, shoot, I didn't get a snack or I didn't grab a sandwich. So, what's your favorite tournament snack if you have one? Kind of like M and
Mm.
M's. You popping those during your games or something?
Probably. Most recently, I went to an event, and I had a backpack with beef jerky in it. So that's actually
Yeah,
kind
beef
of good
jerky's
because
so
that
good.
can, yeah, it's pricey though. So
Yeah.
if you're on a budget, Uncrustables. Just get a box of
Uncrustables. There we
Uncrustables,
go.
my
There
guy,
you
and
go.
then yeah, and then you can pass them out, and you'll be the
Yeah, favorite guy at
MVP.
the
Yeah,
tournament. There
exactly.
you go. Everyone's buddy
But
immediately.
yeah, Uncrustables or something like that. Yeah, some simple that can actually give you fill you up, give you some substance, beef jerky stuff. Yeah.
Gotcha. So, what's your favorite aspect of the game, or a core mechanic, or something like that, that you're just kind of like, ah, this is why I play this game?
Um, the grid system. Yeah, locational based
Mm-hmm.
mechanics. Yeah, genuinely, that just makes it so much more interesting. It allows even less powerful cards be relevant and impactful even late into the game,
Mm-hmm.
because where your guys are just as important as what your guys are in a lot of
Mm-hmm.
cases,
I
especially
agree.
when blocking or yeah, setting up yeah, turns, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I think that
Blocking projectiles.
that was the thing I realized when I started playing was okay. I need to understand positioning more than I need to understand anything else in this game. Like
Really.
position matters more than anything else. Like if you mess up on your positioning or how your turn sequence of I'm gonna move this guy, then I'm gonna move this guy
It can
matters a
make a huge
lot.
difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So that really was intriguing to me. Just
Mm-hmm.
having it play more out or play out more thematically, I guess, or
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like a story, honestly.
Yeah,
So
it's yeah, that's let's see here. Let's do this as the last question.
sure.
So we both like Sorcerer.
Yep.
Is he a problem? Like in the mechanics wise, is he
Mm,
too busted, or do you think you know what this is just a shtick, leave him alone, kind of thing?
I don't think he's too busted. I will say I do think some of the other avatars are a little underpowered.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly avatars that have to tap to use their abilities is a
Yeah.
major weakness. I feel like in a lot of cases.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I think things like the sorcerer have shine because
Mm-hmm.
it just pure value.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Death Speaker because you don't have to tap.
Mm-hmm.
And in a lot of ways, it's very similar to sorcerer. You're just getting an extra card.
Right.
Um, so I don't think it's necessarily a problem, but I do think it is the best outside of maybe Avatar of Earth, Mono Earth deck or
Death
whatever,
Speaker. Right.
or Death Speakers. But I think his weakness would be the want to play on a lower mana curve, because if you're playing sites, you're not getting. He has effectively no ability. So
Right.
I
Yeah, I
think
think.
that's his quote unquote
Yeah.
weakness is you got to play a
Right.
lower curve to get his max value.
Which honestly, in this game right now, it doesn't seem like it's too
Nah, it's
much
kind
of
of
a
what you want to do
downside, right?
anyways. Yeah,
It's like sorcerer has definitely become that more aggressive. Like I'm just gonna bring out the swarm and attack you, kind of thing.
yeah. You have to answer both of my cards with your one card every turn, or
Hmm.
yeah. So maybe it could be an issue, but I don't think it necessarily is. What's your
Right.
opinion? I haven't really
No,
put it that way.
I think I think it's an interesting question.
Hmm.
I think I think we definitely need a different avatar when it comes to draft.
Yeah, yes, I agree. I think it's too strong for just a
For
draft
limited. I
format.
think for
Yeah,
limited, Sorcerer's too strong. I guess at the same time, it's like, well, if everyone's playing Sorcerer, then
yeah.
does
I
it really
think
matter?
that's,
But I
but
think for people like you and me who are playing it, it's like, okay, I get my Sorcerer anyways, so let's just like, since Fury Road and these other decks that we play are massively ordinaries and exceptionals only, like
I'm
already,
basically
it's like
drafting that
I'm gonna
anyways.
draft this anyways and just play the normal game I play anyways
Yeah,
with
honestly,
yeah, with maybe a couple more foot soldiers than I'm used to.
right. So
But
yeah,
yeah, it's
which I
just
think could be a problem with if there's a lot of people who actually know what they're doing, then you're overdrafting the same cards, and then
mm-hmm,
many cards are just not getting picked because
gotcha.
they don't fit into that plan. So yeah, I think a different draft avatar could be
Yeah,
definitely an option.
I think yeah, I like Sorcerer. I don't think he's actually. I think that most people when they play Sorcerer, um, overestimate and underestimate his abilities. Right. I think that, and I've seen this when I play it, is I realize, oh crap, I should have probably just drawn a sight there, and I just drew a card. And you
I've done
go
that.
into that, and you go into that cycle of, I'm just gonna draw 2 cards, draw 2 cards, draw 2 cards. Just like,
Yeah.
instead of being like, okay, I'm gonna draw my card, shut up, wanting to draw another card. I'm going to
Play it
just,
normal. Yeah.
I'm just gonna look, see what I have in my hand. Do you think that the next card you draw is going to add more to the game plan this turn? Or could you draw a sight and then further the game plan by being able to drop 2 3s?
Yes. Exactly. And that's kind of what I was talking about earlier in this interview
Right.
was knowing when to tap your avatar to just draw a sight because you already have your game plan. You already know what you're doing that turn. Just, yeah, exactly. Bite the bullet and like, I really want to maximize and get 2 cards because they don't get 2 cards. But
Right.
you kind of still did. You got to draw your spell
Yeah,
and
exactly.
you're on a sight. So yeah, you just did it in the other order. Yep.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, dude, for the interview.
Of course.
I enjoyed it immensely. I love talking to people that also love Sorcerer, so it's
Thank
always a
you.
good
Yeah.
time. Yeah, you're going to the Courtesan Cup, right? You
I
qualified
will
and
be
you're
there.
ready to go.
I'm all ready. Yep.
Nice,
My
dude.
brother and I are going to be driving up, along with quite a few guys from that Florida qualifier that made it. They're all
Nice.
excited to go. So it's going to be.
Dude, I wish I was going, but I just can't afford it right now. But I definitely will be there. I'll be at some event next year, and hopefully I'll be able to meet a lot of you guys that have been going around.
That'll be awesome. I will look
Yeah.
forward to it, man. This
All
was
right.
awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah. Take care.
Take care.